everybody, and welcome to the channel. It's Paulie, Esther here. And are you ready for a tinfoil talk? Where's my tinfoil hat? It's been so long since I made one of these. I don't even know where my hat is now. I have misplaced it. Wear your hat accordingly without me. Are we about to see the first legendary skin for an original survivor based on a character from Dead by Daylight's lore? I'm not sure, but check this out. Dead by Daylight put out this tweet here today that says there's a hint of spice in the air, and we see this coffee cup on the Garden of Joy map here, and it has the name Julian on it. It says Julian, like how you would chop vegetables, like slice carrots really thin into stringy bits and stuff, crossed out with the name Julian on it. And then in the bottom we see a trapper trap here, and I think they're alluding that this cup of coffee comes from the Moonstone Cafe, which is part of Mikaela's lore, and she was released last Halloween, right? So are we about to see Julian come into the fog now too? Now, if you don't know who Julian is part of Mikaela's lore. He is her roommate. So let's go ahead and check this out here. If we go on the wiki for lore characters, it says here, Julian, Mikaela's best friend and roommate, who supported her throughout her life. He recorded a variety of her storytelling performances, posting them online, and entered her into a storytelling festival. After Mikaela accidentally summoned the entity, he recorded every sound and uploaded it online, but disappeared the next day. So he actually disappears before she is consumed into the fog as we know it. So is he possibly in the fog already too and about to emerge? Could they be getting ready to offer up an alternative skin for Mikaela to make her into Julian, or another survivor altogether, standalone survivor? Possibly. I think probably the former is the more probable case, that they would just make a skin for Julian over Mikaela. I don't know. So I'm not going to go through all of Mikaela's lore, but we'll just have a little refresher course on the parts that refer to Julian here, and we'll read through it. I guess I'm going to need my glasses for this. All right, so here we go. This is part of Mikaela Reid's lore. In the meantime, she worked as a barista at the Moonstone Cafe, an independent and eccentric coffee shop in the artsy part of town. Every Friday night, she hosted an open mic at the coffee shop, performing stories live in front of customers. Julian, her best friend and roommate, recorded some of her shows and posted them online. And also, unbeknownst to her, he submitted one of her performances to the Endless Halloween Festival, where renowned storytellers performed on stage for Halloween. It was a beautiful surprise when Mikaela received an email from the festival inviting her to perform at their grand final on Halloween. The winning prize was big enough for her to launch her line of products. Excited, she burnt a stick of herbs in each room to dissipate negative energies, then began to craft her tale of horror. Mikaela stayed up all night, filling her notebooks with abandoned beginnings. She had a story in mind, but unearthing it took patience and skill. The following night, the nightmares began, and for a week she would wake in the middle of the night gasping for air. Her dream was the same every night. She was dragged down a cold set of stairs and thrown into a dark basement. Then her lungs would be set ablaze by a sharp iron hook stabbing her in the chest. A dark figure would pull on the hook and hoist her from the ground slowly until the pain waked her. The more she finessed her Halloween tale, the darker her nightmares grew. And as the days passed, exhaustion, anxiety, and stress took a toll on her. Often distracted, her coffees at the Moonstone were rushed, acrid, or going out to the wrong customer. Or she can't even spell her best friend's name right on the coffee cup. She no longer blessed the coffee beans in the morning, nor looked for omens in the leftover coffee grains. Her energy was low, and her magic felt drained. And when she woke up screaming one night, she had had enough. She asked Julian to watch her while she slept and record anything unusual. Julian agreed and started recording while Mikaela lay on her bed. Minutes later, her fingers began to twitch, then her toes. Her breath became labored. Then Julian stared in shock as Mikaela slowly rose in the air, levitating over her bed. Panicked, he shook her shoulders to wake her, but stopped when she began to scream. He grabbed his phone to call an ambulance, but a powerful crash diverted his attention, and he looked down the hallway and saw a large, spidery fang slam through the bathroom door. Amidst the commotion, Mikaela woke, and she saw the black spidery fang shredding the bathroom door and jumped out of bed. She slammed her bedroom door shut and shouted at Julian to help her barricade the door. Before he could react, however, the power went out. The room was submerged in sudden darkness. A second later, the lights came back on and an eerie quietness followed. Mikaela and Julian ventured out of the bedroom carefully. The bathroom door looked intact and there was no sign of anything abnormal, but Julian had recorded every sound. A sleepless night followed when she returned to the apartment after her shift. Julian was not there. Mikaela wanted to remove the recording of their ordeal, which he had posted online. Suspecting Julian might be at school, she left. The door clicked shut behind her, masking a stifled cry from the bathroom. As she neared her car, she looked over her shoulder. Mikaela felt watched. She whispered a protective spell and clutched her keys. Suddenly, a shadow pounced on the wall, and she broke into a run. She reached her car and rushed inside, locking the doors. Breathing hard, she looked through the windows. No one was there. Perhaps it was just her nerves playing tricks on her, and she turned on the ignition and drove off. The next day, Julian was still nowhere to be found. Mikaela had contacted everyone they knew. She looked for him all day and waited for him all night. Distraught and anxious, she missed her shift at the Moonstone. Halloween was tonight, and so was the festival. Julian had entered the storytelling competition for her. He had supported her every time she doubted herself. Maybe he would be there. But between her nightmares and Julian's disappearance, she had been too worried to prepare a story for the contest. She looked at her notebook filled with false starts. She could stay home scared and helpless, or she could finish what Julian had started. There was a reason why she loved to tell horror stories. They made her feel brave enough to face any challenge. That evening, when the host called Mikaela's name at the Endless Halloween Festival, she boldly stepped on stage, dressed in a costume, a black dress matched with a wide witchy hat. This is the cosmetic that was released during the Halloween event last year in the special section of the Rift. She hoped to spot Julian in the crowd, but she could not find him, and looking directly at the audience was a mistake. A sea of expectant faces was before her, eyes watching her every move. Her heart pounded in her chest as her hands began to shake. She grabbed the warm microphone and clenched her throat, cleared her throat, Words are hard. A thick silence greeted her, only interrupted by a distant cough. She reminded herself that tonight was All Hallows Eve, when the veil thinned betwixt this realm and the one beyond. She had a story in her heart, a story that mattered, and if she told it right, perhaps Julian would hear it. Mikaela took a deep breath. The wet wind of autumn whirled golden leaves around her. She inhaled the acrid smell of damp foliage. She swallowed the bitter aftertaste of coffee still on her tongue. Distant eyes cawed from an old oak tree, and she closed her eyes. The crimson darkness under her eyelids turned darker. Her heartbeat slowed. She exhaled deeply, her breath a puff of mist in the cold night air. Now she felt awakened, refreshed for the first time in weeks, and ready to tell the tale of a lifetime. She spoke into the microphone in a deep, haunting voice. She narrated a tale of billowing winds on a cold autumn night, of a loyal friend disappearing before daylight, of forgotten victims hiding in the wings of darkness, of throbbing graves sealed with terrible secrets, and an eternal night in the shadow of death. Mikaela pointed at the night sky and said that no darkness was truly beyond light. Even on this moonless night, the sky shined with long-dead stars. A thick black fog engulfed Mikaela, to the audience's amazement, and no one saw Mikaela Reid again. So I think it would be super cool. They've talked about how they're going to do this extended rift with some deluxe tiers at the end that it goes to 85 or something like that. What if there's a Julian skin at the end, or maybe it'll be something that they'll sell. I'm not too sure. But I think I really like this idea that during Halloween, when the veil becomes thin, that maybe there could be extra layers of things such as Julian coming into the fog. I'm fascinated by this idea. I hope that there is something to this other than just Julian written on a coffee cup. I hope that this is a teaser of something to come. It's obviously Moonstone Cafe. That's got to be the Moonstone Cafe logo on the heat shield there for the coffee cup. Julian's name on it. I think this is a great idea if that's where they're going. And if this isn't the idea, it should be the idea. You know what I mean? Like, this is something that could be an extra payoff at the end of a long rift or a Halloween event thing to get an extra skin like that for an existing character. There's other things you could do like this. Like, obviously, Felix is looking for his father. That would be... It could be like a level of characters lost in the fog that you could somehow have achievements to earn them and draw them out in game. I think that would be a great idea. I hope this is what's happening. Obviously, this is for sure the Julian in question that we're talking about on this cup. But what does it mean? So I'm going to leave you with all that and let you think about it. I think it's a great idea for a concept for an event. I hope there's something to this. But stay tuned. We'll see, I guess. But that's all I have for you for my tinfoil talk today. As always, I appreciate all the time that you spend here with me on my channel. And don't forget to take care of each other in and out of the fog. And we'll see you next time. Happy Halloween, everybody. Bye-bye.
It's a Gen Rush life for us. It's a Gen Rush life for us. Set a hiding, we do gens. Set a randoms, we got friends. It's a Gen Rush life.